Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Aries, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the last 2 weeks of November. I hope you're well. I'm using the Triple Goddess Tarot for you today. Here it is. Now, if you haven't seen these videos before, I structure them slightly differently to the main monthly readings, in so much as we are looking for the lesson. I believe that there is wisdom, or indeed a lesson, contained within every interaction and experience we have, if we are open to seeing it. And all too often we are not, because we get bogged down with the day-to-day minutiae of our 3D existence. So this is, if you will, an exercise in perspective. To it, what we will do is pull 3 cards for your current energy. It's like an energetic snapshot to see where you are right now. And then from there, we will pull 3 cards to see why you are in this energy in the first place. Now, 100% of the time, it will be showing you something about yourself that you don't necessarily see, giving you some sort of insight into your deeper workings. But in other circumstances, it could also be showing you things that need to exit your life, things that you need to release and let go, and also those things that you need to embrace. We won't know until the cards hit the table. But I think as an exercise in perspective, taking a moment to step back and have a look, it makes it easier to navigate what can be, at times pretty challenging energy, and certainly in the environment that we find ourselves in at the moment. So, I hope that makes sense. I'm sure it will by the end of the reading. Let's have 3 cards for Aries, please. Ooh, there's the first one and the second one. We have the Queen of Pentacles, Capricorn energy. We also have that 5 of Swords there. Let's get one more, please. One more for Aries. Whoa. Get that. Fell right down the side of the table. What do we have here? We have the 3 of Wands, and I like this for you because it does feel like you're moving on, you're moving beyond and past. This period of your life has been very, very tiring, like I've said a number of times this year. Like, Aries is exhausted, but it does seem like you are turning a corner. We've got what was the Queen of Cups at the bottom of the deck there. Good, strong, feminine archetypes coming through with the Pentacles and the Cups Queens there. But the Queen of Pentacles indicates to me that now, at this time, you are paying attention to yourself and what you need, right? This has been something that's been coming up a lot recently for Aries readings. But it's beyond the obvious. But then also including the obvious, have you been eating properly? Have you been drinking properly? I think we might have covered this in the main monthly reading, actually. Where are the points at which you have been failing to address your own basic needs? And now, at this point, where are you going to rectify that? How are you going to change that? Don't worry about the Queen being a female card. If you are a man and watching this, the tarot really doesn't give a shit about gender. It's important to know that you have both masculine and feminine energies working within you, and in order to be the most balanced version of you that you can be, you need to have both in operation. And that Queen of Pentacles energy is nurturing, it's taking care of things, and specifically for me, it's taking care of yourself. We've got this 5 of Swords here. And there are lots of different things that this 5 of Swords can indicate. Not least when you look at the card, you need to work out, which character on this card the person that you're reading for happens to be. But it feels to me like it's a transcendence of a situation that has had you stuck in some way or another. Now, sometimes I see it as this kind of cognitive biases or even cognitive loops that we get ourselves stuck into because we think the world works in one particular way. And then new information comes in whatever sense that applies. And from there we go, oh, actually, I might have been thinking about that slightly wrong. I've been kind of laboring under this misapprehension for quite a long time. And I see that there is now another way. I could just not do this thing, I could just not put up with the shit that I've been taking from other people, because that does feel like what this card is here. It's almost like We'll say, for example, family. Family would be a really good example. You've got family members who put you down all of the time. They make you feel awful about things. Perhaps you've not achieved as much as another member of the family is, or you've not lived up to your potential in terms of how somebody else has seen you should have been running your life, and it makes you feel shit, and you internalize that, and you're like, well, yeah, okay, maybe I haven't done that. I must obviously be, a failure of a human being. We have all been in situations where that is the case. But there's a moving beyond this. It's like, no, there is another way. I could just not pay any attention to your opinion, or I could just choose not to spend time around you. I could choose not to value that person's opinion. If there is somebody around you who makes you feel small, it says a lot more about them than it does about you. I mean, the only thing that you really need to pay attention to at this point is why you are permitting this to affect you in the way that it has. Now, like I said, there's a feeling of transcendence here, because I do feel like you're moving beyond that. With this Three of Wands at the end of this streak of cards, because it talks about taking action. Like, sometimes it talks about actual literal movement. So, you could be moving house, you could be moving away from, toxic people, these people that make you feel small, these situations that make you feel small, maybe, because it doesn't need to be restricted to family. Sometimes it can be work environments and things like that. Take this as it resonates to you. But there's a strong and getting increasingly stronger sense of the direction that you must go now. It's almost like the doubt is starting to fall by the wayside a little bit. The ways in which you've internalized things in the past is falling by the wayside a little bit. And little by little, it's almost like the fog is clearing, and it is possible for you to see what is your route forward. Where do you go from here? Come on, this Five of Swords, please. Thank you. We have the Four of Pentacles in reverse. I mean, that's just beautiful. I'm clarifying this Five of Swords here, and it's absolutely validating the feeling that I had about this transcending above it, because in the upright, this card talks about holding on to things too tightly. And in some ways, Aries, that's what you have been doing, whether it be opinions of other people, pejorative opinions about yourself, negative self-talk and things like that. Holding on to those because we believe those to be the structure of our universe, right? This is how the world works. Except that it isn't. And you're letting it go. Get one more card, please. One more card for the Five of Swords. Wait, that was two. Hang on. Yeah. Beautiful. Oh, we've got three. In fact, we've got the Five of Cups, we've got the Four of Wands, and we've got Temperance, which is absolutely stunning. Again, another card numbered 5. These are the agents of chaos. These are extremely uncomfortable cards when they turn up, but they are very valuable in so much as what it is that they teach you. Now, I have to say that I did notice just as I started shuffling that I had the Five of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. Again, talking about those ways in which your own basic needs have not been met by you, Aries, because you didn't realize that you could do things differently. So that's 3 cards numbered 5 that speak about uncomfortable changes, sort of potentially fractured relationships, not just with other people, but also a little bit with yourself. And how that is all now being released and moving away from, because this is a card of focusing on what you have lost rather than noticing that there are cups that remain. I mean, in this case, those cups are literally in your hand there, Aries. But we have the Four of Wands, the creation of a new foundation, going where your heart leads you. Where, what are the situations that you find yourself in? Where are the relationships that make your heart sing, that make you feel like you're coming home? Because that's what we're talking about here. And then we have the Temperance card. Again, another character with 2 cups in their hand, pouring from one into another, right? Filling your own cup, but having healing coming through with that, because it's alchemical. It's about transmuting pain into something really, really useful. It's it's about releasing yourself from this very stuck energy and bringing healing to the thing that caused you to be stuck in the first place. Now, the other thing that this talks about is divine guidance, divine timing too. although it would be easy to feel like you have been victimized this year, and it would be easy to feel like that, particularly in your exhausted state as you are, it might be more useful for you to look at this situation positively. Now, I'm not saying positively for the sake of it, but in terms of what you have learned about yourself, about other people, about the way that you react to the world, about how much everybody else fucking projects, right? But also in terms of what it is that you are grateful for. What is it that makes your heart sing? We have the Empress at the bottom of the deck there, a card that speaks about abundance and true abundance. We're not talking about financial abundance, or sometimes it can be indicated by the Empress. It's more a case of coming from a very grounded place and understanding that there are cycles to things, you know, just as there is the wheel of the year and we move from the spring where everything is budding and joyful and there are spring lambs hopping about in the fields or whatever the version is that you have in your country if you're not from the UK. You know, through the summer, through the heat where everything is in, you know, full bloom to autumn where we are now, where everything changes colour and the trees become skeletal as they lose their leaves. Right down into the barren winter, you know. Now in some ways for me I feel like you have been stuck in a barren winter for most of this year. But the snowdrops are starting to appear. You know, every little bit of something that you can find to be grateful for, to express your gratitude for, and anchor yourself to, will get you a little further down the road each time. Interestingly, the two cards that are sitting here, way 3, we have the Ace of Wands and we have the Magician, right? You have everything that you need to create the life that you want. Like, this is the spark, this Ace here. And as an Aries, or any fire sign, but as an Aries particularly, the potential of a situation is something that you are very good at seeing. And not only that, taking that potential and doing something with it. Like, you are able to shape your life now. That certain things that were restricting you, whether they be people or situations, self-sabotage, self-doubt, any of those kind of things, they're all now appearing to you. And the more you anchor yourself to the gratitude for what you do have, the more able you are to climb here out of this dark pit. That's the 8 of Wands there, and it's followed by the 3 of Wands again. Right there. It's about the actions that you take now. So having come from a place of great disempowerment now, or at least that's how it's felt, it's all just been about kicking what is not for you away from your path, right? The obstacles that were stopping you from progressing have now been eliminated, and it is for you to decide how you move forwards. Let me just put these to the side. I feel like we've already answered the question, but let's have a look and see why you are in this energy at the moment, because it is positive. We are moving now, Aries, and that is a good thing. About why. Yeah, I mean, it's exactly as I've said. We've got the Page of Cups, we've got the 8 of Swords, and what are you? The Knight of Cups here too. 7 of Pentacles. There has been an awful lot in your life that has been less than satisfactory this year. But if you were honest with yourself, a lot of what has exited, as painful as it has been, was not perfect before that either, you know? Now, the Page of Cups talks about, it's the beginning rung of the echelon of the, you know, the court hierarchy for the cups. So it is in some ways a new start, but I'm seeing it more as a sort of shift in direction now. It's almost like you've been picked up from the path that you were on and you've been diverted into a different direction. And sometimes that fucking sucks. Like, sometimes that's really, really uncomfortable, and it's the last thing that we want. I always think there's a peculiar mourning quality to this card here. Although it is the Page of Cups and it is a very positive card, I associate it with Pisces. That little girl there looks like Wednesday Addams to me. And rather than holding the cup and the cup having a fish in it, as we are accustomed to seeing, this girl is very tentatively walking forwards to see what the fuck is in this cup, because it's certainly not a fish, it's an octopus. Now consider what an octopus is. I think they're cool. They're really, really cool. Cephalopods generally are just awesome, right? Because they can squeeze themselves through the tightest apertures. I've seen videos of it, they just kind of cram themselves in and then they move along this tube and then they pop out into a tank on the other side. Like, wow. But they can get themselves out of jam jars and things like this. Not only that, they're extraordinarily smart. If you can step back from where you are right now, you've been given probably years and years worth of insight and experience, insight into yourself through challenging experiences this year. But it's actually kind of put you out on top, Aries. The challenge for you is working out how that is the case. Like I said, I'm not talking about being positive for the sake of it, but actually there are things in your life that it is possible to be extremely grateful for. And although you may be a little battle scarred on the other side, and you may still be a little bit struggling a little bit with mourning for what it is that you've lost, ultimately there's a world of opportunity that is opening up for you. Emotionally, mentally, and in all senses. The Eight of Swords is a card of mental restriction. You have been mentally restricted, whether you knew it or not. And although it feels like the universe has kind of picked you up and wrung you out, and now just kind of tossed you on the side, and you're just like, I'm a wrung out sponge, thank you very much. You're really not. You're really not. You've learned a great deal, and you've moved beyond the self-sabotage. You come to a point where you have, it feels to me, you are acknowledging that nothing happens to you without your consent. You don't feel anything without your consent to doing so. People can't make you feel any kind of way without your consent. And this is all about eradicating that. And coming back to your center, coming back to your emotional center, Aries. That Pisces, again, with the Knight of Cups there, but it's about holding your heart open despite whatever it is that the world has thrown at you. It's transcendence is the word that has come through over and over again, right? And that alchemy that we see there in the Temperance card, taking what has been negative experience and transmuting it into something that is useful for you. Lessons learned, generally speaking, the more painful they are, the more likely they are to stick, the more you learn from them. So it's not saying ignore all the ways in which you have been hurt and all the ways in which things have been painful, but sit with those and work through those and see what gift they have brought you in terms of your knowledge, your wisdom, how far you've moved on. Fuck's sake. Oh, throwing cards around here everywhere. There we go. Yeah, got the Queen of Cups again, right? There's this year has battered down for you a lot of defenses that I think that you did not realize that you had. And just as we go from the Page to the Knight, we now go to the Queen here. You see how you're moving up the hierarchy here, Aries. When I see the Cups, it's all about receptivity and getting yourself into a place where you can receive that which you have worked towards. And maybe the end result is not what you anticipated, but I've been talking to Leo a lot about attachment to outcomes, and I feel it kind of crossing over quite strongly here with you. The idea is not to become attached to the outcome, because in the doing so, what we tend to do is occult the journey. And the journey is the important bit, Had you had everything that you wanted, knowing what you do now, I think that you would feel very differently about it. Because you've changed. In some ways, you've been reconstructing from the ground up, Aries, and that's never a comfortable position to be in. I've been there. I've spent most of this year doing it myself, I have to say. And it sucks. It fucking sucks. But what are we going to do about that? Are we going to sit there and we're going to complain that it sucks? Or are we going to look? Are we going to look for the lesson? You know? Let's get some advice for Aries, please. Yeah, so we've got the King of Wands here. We've got the Nine of Wands showing up here too. And we've got the Hanged Man. Yeah. So, Ten of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck here. It is time to commit yourself to a new direction, a new outcome. But this time, not ignoring the journey, right? It's indicating a level of reflection that needs to be adopted on a more regular basis, you know, rather than waiting till everything kind of blows up. More taking that time, you know, when you have a strong reaction about something, like, why am I having this reaction? Like, what is this telling me about myself? Is it telling me something about the other person that I'm kind of blowing up at, or is it telling them something about me, you know? What is it telling me about the situation that I find myself in? Like, even though I want this situation, is it right for me? You know, maybe it's not. But the advice is all about the action that you take from this point on. You are far more powerful than currently you are aware of. You know, we've seen that with the Emperor and not the Emperor, that's your card, with the Magician and the Ace of Wands. But now it's time to take action, Aries. It's time to start doing something. And even if they are small steps, they're your steps. They don't belong to anybody else. And so you may feel like Bambi initially, but that will pass very, very soon. Boundaries. Really important thing to work on. Not just your own, but also the observance of other people's boundaries, because, you know, that's a thing too. But with this Hanged Man here, a card of submission and sacrifice, yes, but also a card of enlightenment, a card of standing still and gaining enlightenment. Oh, look at that. It just seems to sit really nicely underneath my Phoenix there. Everything's changed. Everything is different. So now it's about adapting to the situation as is, rather than what was and what you wished it returned to, because whether you like it or not, like, you know that things, I'm going to put it back there because it's just really pleasing to me. You know more now. You see more now. And perhaps you even see the benefit in standing still, you know? Look for the lesson. Okay, Aries, I'm going to leave it there. Definitely skies are brightening up ahead. Right, take that and know that. So, know that I love you all very, very much. And I really hope that this helped. And I'll see you soon.